That's an incredible book for entrepreneurs because we all entrepreneurs have the same problem. We're always looking at the gap and not at the gain. The glass is always half empty and not half full. Always, always. And especially for us as women in business, we do have another situation at play, which is how we measure our success comparing with other people. But we also have to account that you as a mom, sometimes you have kids, okay, and sometimes you have a family that you also want to attend and you also want to put your time and your energy, okay? So you're not comparing purse with purse and apples with apples when you are comparing with other people, because every situation is different. And sometimes as women we believe that we can do it all, and I do believe that we can do it all. We can do it all and we can have it all, but not at the same time.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all. Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today I have the pleasure of having another entrepreneur in the lab that, from what I can see, has had multiple experiments along the way. But what I'm also excited about is that this special individual that we have in the lab with us too has the marketing foundation, which I'm so excited to talk about. And of course, with the marketing foundation, has transitioned into real estate. And then, of course, AI. So I get the sense that, having her here, she's covered all fronts. She seems to be an early adopter, but we'll have to hear from her. I'd like to welcome Vanessa Alfaro, founder of Venus Capital and LunaX.AI. What is going on, Vanessa? How
Oh
are you doing
my
today?
God, I'm so excited to be here. Look at this energy and everybody that follows you. I follow you too because I
Thank you.
think that your content is great and your podcast is great. So I'm super excited to be here and I can't wait to have a conversation that produce and give value to your audience.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, listen, you're once you're here in the lab, you're officially vetted, right? You're wearing the lab coat. We are here. We mean business. And like I said, I was saying this offline. Hopefully, you won't need too much coffee because my goal is going to bring the energy. And really, I mean, it's really exciting. I find it fascinating to just taking a second to just zoom out, right? Because sometimes we don't even get a chance to, take our own flowers. But I'm just looking at your resume and like what you've been able to do, like your lab report, as I call it. And I'm like, I hope and I trust. So sometimes as overachievers, we don't get a chance to do that, but just look back and reflect, my goodness, how far have I come? And I'm going to take you back to as soon as 22 years old, you were an entrepreneur. I want to take you back then, but I want to ask you before I take you back then, if I meet you today, I love to travel. We are just talking about Boston. You're in Houston, correct, Vanessa? Um, if I meet you at the airport, love to travel, and I say, hey, I'm Ruben. Vanessa, what do you do for a living? What do you lead by? I'm curious.
Oh, that's awesome. I do nothing. I just have fun with my
Love that.
businesses. And I have someone asking me that at the airport. I was like, and what did you do? And the guys were talking. It's like, I just have fun with my businesses. I make business and I make money just for fun.
I love that. So that's a,
And
but
it's
it's
just a
interesting,
hook.
right?
It's a
It is
hook
a hook.
because they keep asking questions
Yeah.
about that.
Absolutely. I think it's a smart hook. But see, we're right. You couldn't even help yourself. Your first and second sentence, you're already talking marketing terms. It is a hook, indeed. And so with that, I think people who have done as much as you've done, sometimes it's interesting because I feel like there's many different ways that you can go. But to say that I have fun in my business is kind of opens up the question of, well, what kind of business do you own? And I know you've literally built five different seven-figure businesses at this point. So which one do you think, speaking of energy and speaking of coffee, which business do you think gives you the most energy?
The
Is this
ones that you're
yeah.
doing, that's a very good question. The one that you're doing right now, meaning, okay,
Hmm.
as an entrepreneur, you live for passion and excitement and enjoying the things that you're doing. I mean, if you're entrepreneur and you don't have that passion and then drive and that excitement, you wouldn't do it. Like who is going to be entrepreneur, like start a business, don't get paid for x amount of time, like
Mhm.
work extra hours. You have to have that passion. Okay. And when I lose that passion, I think that's the time when I decided to, I need to move to another business, or I need to sell my business, or I need to
Mm.
exit my business. So the most excited and the ones that is giving me the most is the one that I'm doing right now. Otherwise, I will be moving to another one.
Is so that's interesting because in the lab it's kind of like we talk about picking a niche and kind of I think we were just talking about this offline, right? You pick there's so many different opportunities out there and you kind of get exposed to many. At least I believe, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. You get exposed to a lot of different stimulants or a lot of different opportunities, understand, and then you kind of have a link and say, okay, this is one that I'm drawn to, and then you go into it, you have the excitement. But then let's be honest, Vanessa, business isn't all sunshine and rainbows. So for someone who's listening, when you say you lose the passion, is that you're losing the meaning? Because not every day is, you don't wake up every day maybe upbeat and ready to go. There's sometimes you're facing challenges, etc. So can you help us define the difference between when you say passion, what's passion versus disinterest versus a long day versus a
Right,
challenge versus a setback? How do you define that?
right. I think that when you particularly, okay, when I lose passion when I think that I stop growing or
Mm,
making progress. So when I am in a business, okay, and in the business you have ups and downs, and you are moving forward, and you go 3 steps forwards and 1 step backward.
mhm,
Okay? But when you see in your business that you are making progress, your business is growing, you are growing. I still have that passion, okay? Because you're growing, you're moving forward. I
yeah.
think that we lose passion and a time that when you make the business and you make the business at some point that there is nothing else that you can do. Okay. And at that point, you either have someone else bringing into the business with that passion to like reignite that passion in the business and bring it to another level. Okay.
Mm,
Or at that time you exit the business and someone else come with that new blood. And one of the things that I like about real estate, Ruben, is that every time you have a new property, in my case, I'm in multifamily. So we buy large multifamily, right? We buy multifamily buildings in different places, different state, different areas, different business plan. So every property is a small little business. It has their own marketing plan, their own way you're going to do projections. It's a different business plan, different financing techniques. So each property is a small business. So if you have 15 properties, which I do have 15 little business
businesses.
inside my business. Okay, so
Mm,
that's very exciting. And if you think about the life of a business, okay, you create your business, you have a business plan, you develop that business plan, whatever is inside that business plan. Some days go better than other. Okay, and then you have an exit strategy, and that's what you do with a property. Even if your exit strategy is to sell it in 10 years or 20 years or pass it to your kids, right? In our case, our exit strategy is every 5, 7, or 10 years. So I think that keeps me also very excited, okay, in between my business. And it's not that I'm jumping to one thing to the other, because people confuse passion to following the sparkle or the
a
shiny
shiny
thing.
object.
Okay. The
Yeah.
shiny object. It's not about following a shiny object, because it's not I have 400 companies. I only had 5 or 6. Okay. Um, but I do it. I make it. I grow the company until I feel like, okay, I can do better, okay, with another company, and then I exit, or I just sell the company, or I do have a company with my husband too. Okay. And at one point I decided, okay, this is not what I'm passionate about. I don't want to be in marketing anymore. And that's when I jumped to real estate. Mhm. But he's
Mm.
still that. He's still in that company. He loved that company. That's what drive him passion. So not about the shiny object, but more about how where you can make that company to grow until the time that you are not growing anymore with the company.
That's fascinating because what I'm hearing you say, Vanessa, too, and if you don't mind me interpreting, I think what jumped out to me a few times is the progress, that which is how I define success. Is like if I'm progressing in the right direction, then that gets me fired up, right? Progress.
Mhm.
The only thing is I will say is I don't know, and I'm curious to hear how your mindset is. I know there's a book called The Gap in the Game Gain by Dr. Benjamin Hardy,
Hardy and
and
then.
and he talks about, right, that reframe that sometimes we need to have. And I think it's important in this day and age because listen, you've been doing this since you were 22, and so when we talk about progress, I think sometimes we look at others and we're like, oh, they're so much further ahead than I am. And we have a gap mindset instead of the gain mindset. How do you see your gain mindset versus the gap? Because I think it's really helpful for people to even understand like what framework they should have as they assess their progress
Mhm.
in their own lab.
That's an incredible book for entrepreneurs because we all entrepreneurs have the same problem.
Mhm.
We're always looking at the gap and not at the gain. The glass is always half empty and not half full. Always, always.
100%.
And especially for us as women in business, okay, we do have another situation at play, which is how we measure our success comparing with other people. Okay, but we also have to account that you as a mom, sometimes you have kids, okay, and sometimes you have a family that you also want to attend, and you also want to put your time and your energy, okay? Or you as a dad. So you cannot compare, like you are not comparing purse with purse and apples with apples, okay,
Yeah.
when you are comparing with other people, because every situation is different. And sometimes as women, especially as women, we believe that we can do it all, and I do believe that we can do it all. We can do it all and we can have it all, but not at the same time.
Mm. Mm. And
So
I'm so glad you said that, Vanessa. And I don't know if you were going to add to that, but I've heard you say multiple times when you said exit, you did mention that exiting sometimes doesn't mean throwing in the towel. It means replacing it with the right who. But please engage because I feel like you wanted to add something to the last point.
well, I believe that you have to have grace to yourself as well.
Mm.
Okay? So, for example, when I was building my real estate career, okay, as a personal story, and I don't know if you have kids, Ruben, you do?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for your audience, for people that is in this path, when I was starting my career, I actually got pregnant with my third child, and
Mm.
I do have five. And I was at the beginning of the real estate career. I was a very important point that I was making my first deal, working to get in my first deal, and then all of a sudden I got pregnant in a very very difficult and high risk pregnancy. Okay, high
Mm.
risk pregnancy that I had to go to the hospital every 2 weeks. Okay, so I built my business, okay, and after that, by the way, after I had my daughter, I got pregnant with my twins. Which, for the people that is listening this story, I have to tell that what is important about that is that I had about 6 years that we couldn't get pregnant, okay, and all the doctors told me that it was not possible that I was going to have another child. It was completely impossible. Like all the doctors said, that's not going to happen. You're too old, or blah, 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 blah. And then for one miracle after the other, I started my business and I got pregnant with my daughter. Okay? And then I got pregnant with twins as a miracle,
Wow.
as a gift of God. And at that point, I was building my career. It was the first 3 years of my 5 years I have been in real estate. So I have practically built this business while I've been dealing with three kids under 3 years old, that my twins are now three, and my daughter is four. So uh, it has grown slower than other people. If I compare probably my $55 million under management versus someone that has $500 million under management, of course, okay, I'm gonna feel like be left behind. But I also have to have grace to myself to understand what is my path, okay, and what is important in my life, okay. And I have to give some things for other. And now I have my beautiful kids, okay. I have my business, I have it all. It's just not at the same time and
Mm.
probably not as fast as other people do.
That's amazing, and congratulations to you for to your beautiful family. Um, Vanessa, I'm curious. Should people even compare? Is that even healthy? Does it get to a point where it is good to compare, or they shouldn't do that at all?
Well, at some point, yes, I think it keeps me, okay, thinking what else I can do in some way, a little bit of motivation as well.
Right.
Okay, what else I can do, which is not compare. Okay, it's just marketing understanding of what is around you.
Brings it back to marketing. All right, so we have to go there now. So you you did it on your own time, on your own terms, even from when you started to have kids, when you started your entrepreneurial journey. I think what you said is very important. Is being inspired, but not exchanging that, and comparing yourself, because then you'll always be in the gap, and if you're in the gap, then you won't have that inspiration to continue to progress, because you're not even seeing the progress that you're making, and therefore you're even losing the fire and motivation. At least that's how I interpret it. Now, I love what you said about having many small businesses within real estate. I've never actually really heard anyone say it like that, but it's so true, because you have a different strategy, you have a different financing, you have different marketing. Yep. And I love that. It's rejuvenating. And that's actually why I also love real estate, because every property is a new project, and it kind of gives you that new life or that new excitement. I could never get bored of it. It's like every deal has its own challenges and its
Mhm.
own set of stakeholders, and even if you're leveraging very similar kind of vendors or designs or whatever the case might be, it's still its own deal of itself. It's almost like
Yep.
your children, right? And I don't have
Your
children yet,
children.
so you tell me. but
Yeah,
but
it's like your
that's
children, and
it is, right?
you have all the deals probably have different investors, so they have
Yes,
different needs, and is
that's
there
right.
your kids? Like you always say that you don't have a favorite, but you do.
Mm, I love that. So let's talk about it. So tell me about the first experiment, because I think sometimes you look at someone like you, and it does like, "Ah, Vanessa, you do have it all. You said it, and God bless you, right? But you keep on saying this, and I think it's so important for us to hear, is that it all happened at different times in your journey, and you can have um anything, but not everything at the same time, right? So talk to us about the foundation of you founding your boutique marketing agency, which I still can tell it's still ingrained in your even your language of how you speak. You mentioned marketing as being part of the business. You even mentioned doing the market analysis. Tell us about that experience. How did you start so young, and where was the opportunity born from?
That's awesome. I do have a marketing brain. I always think in terms of marketing and how, and I think marketing, innovation, and those two things are the blood of a business. Marketing and
Mm,
innovation are the blood of a business. It's how you drive revenue to your business. So when I was 22, really short story. I was actually, I got married very young. I had my daughter, okay, when I was 20. My daughter, my first daughter, is actually right now under 20s, and she was 2 years old. Okay. And
mm,
when I was 16, going a little bit backward, when I was 16, I was working in a fast food chain like McDonald's, similar to McDonald's, but in my
Mhm.
country in Venezuela. And I was working there because I wanted to pay for something. I needed the money. I was 16, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work for somebody. I want to be a business person. I want to build something. Okay. And I always had that inside me. I would just want to build something. I want to create something that can bring people together, that can have people creating new things. And I didn't know what it was. But going back when I was 22, I had to make a decision of what do I do, because now I don't have any money. I am a single mom, okay, and I do go and find a job, or I do something, but I need money, okay, because we were in this legal battle, blah blah blah. And then I decided that I was just going to make a company. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this. Okay, I finished my business school. Okay? I was going into some marketing trainings, and I was already in that environment. And I just decided I'm going to make a marketing company, and I started knocking at doors. I started literally knocking on doors and talking to people. Like I had no clients, anything, and someone hired my company for the launch of like the opening of a restaurant. Okay, and they
And
hired
what
me.
was it? What was it, Vanessa? That when you were knocking on these doors, what was your unique selling point, or not even unique, or what was the service you were looking to offer? Was it lunch, or was it anything I can like? What was your mindset at the time,
Yes.
and what
So what I was
opportunity?
doing was events. Okay. I wanted
Events.
to make experience events. Okay. So something that would be a event that people go, but it's a different event. So how we can innovate in this event. So I start asking people, okay, and we found someone that was going to open a restaurant, and they hired us to make the party for that event. So they
Oh,
had
so
the database.
like a party for like any kind of event, like a sell. If for you, were you going
Mhm.
for business owners, or even if I have like a shower or anything? Like, what was your niche? Did you have one at the time, or was it like
No,
any event?
no, I didn't have anything. I just wanted to
Interesting.
like I don't have anything. I just needed to make money and have a business. And I was passionate
I love that.
about marketing, and I have to do it. Like there is something that differentiate entrepreneurs, okay, than non-entrepreneurs, and it's massive action. You
Mm.
have to do something and you do it. Okay. Sometimes you have the time to plan. Okay. But sometimes you are just right in front of something and you just have to do it and you take the risk. Entrepreneurs are defined by risk. Okay. You are, and I have that in the back of my. You're building the plane where you already jump out of the cliff. The cliff. Okay. So I was trying to look for clients to make my first event, and they hired me for that opening of this restaurant. We had a great party. We have a few people entertain me in the party, so it was kind of an experience thing. And inside that, as part of the people that they invited to the event, they were the representative of this liquor brand that is called Moira Chandon,
Mm.
which is a champagne, a very famous champagne. Okay? And they saw the event and they asked who is the person that did this event, and they connect me with them. And that company, then I went to an interview, and we came with this idea. I came with this idea of how they can do the brand more an experiential experience event for their target, right? So at that point, they hired me, okay, for 10 events that they had inside the city, okay,
Wow.
for Moed and Shandong. And after that, I mean, we went in 5 years. My company had 17 offices in the whole country. We had 2,500 employees. We had I was the youngest, the youngest person in marketing in my country. Okay, I was in the top three of the marketing brands, just because we were very We will always try to be like things out of the box on the things, like what is that everybody is doing, okay, so we're not going to do that. What's everybody not doing? And that's
Mm.
how we came ahead of people that had years in that business. Okay, years.
Can you give me an example, because I love what you're saying. You're literally talking about all these principles. The reason why I love interviewing individuals like you is because there is a proof of concept, and there are laws that you're stating, but if you're not privy to them, you might not even realize, right? Like you said, first of all, I love that you said marketing and innovation is the blood of every business. You measure an entrepreneur by the risk they're willing to take. You talked about having massive action to do the thing, which I want to get to in a second. But you also said you didn't know how you were going to do it. You just knew you wanted it. And I think that is so important, to make a decision first. And I think a lot of people do it backwards. They start asking the how before they actually define their goal. And if you look at any visionary like yourself, it's this is what I want, and we're going to figure out the how later. And you didn't figure out the how by yourself. You had 2,500 employees to then help you, but you had the vision first. I want to get
Yes.
to that though, because you don't
Yeah.
open 17 offices by, I think you gave us a little slither of it, right? But tell me, when you're, again, marketing 101, go left when everyone's going right. What else do you think? You already give, for example, a very tactical example of like, I like that, because event is something that everyone's, I think, experienced at some point in their lives. Could you give me an example of what you would do today that no one's really doing, or at least what you did back then that no one was really doing, that you saw
Mhm.
helped you get an edge in the marketplace?
Yes. Well, I wish we had at that time
Mhm.
the access of technology that we have right now.
No,
Like,
no, that wouldn't be fair,
like
Vanessa. We can't
that
give
would
you
be like
everything. We can't do that. All right? Not like you. We
because
can't give that to people like you. It's just too much.
I was
I'm
like,
joking,
oh
but
my
isn't
God,
it
if
isn't it
we want
fascinating?
technology at that
Oh my
point,
gosh.
I
What a
would
time to be
be
alive,
like,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
incredible. But we were at that point, we didn't
Mhm.
have that access to technology to manage so many people and so many things that they were doing. We were having probably 50 events at the same time, okay, 50 events at the same time in the whole country. It was really wild. But one of the things that we live by, okay, in my headquarter, we were 50 people in the office, and one of the things that we live by is that everything is possible. Everything. Like nobody could come to me, okay, in my office at 25 and tell me, Vanessa, what the client was is not possible.
Mm.
That was ever, never, ever the answer. They will have to figure it out a way that we make things possible.
What's the
Uh,
question that you ask when a team lead would come like that? Yeah, it says this is the demand. What is it? What is your go-to, do you think, of when you're leading a team at such a young age too? What do you say to someone to
Well,
push
at
the
that
boundaries?
point, I was very young. I didn't have the experience and the emotional intelligence that I have right now. And they would probably cry after talking to me, like, you have to make it happen. I don't know how. Okay.
Mhm.
I was very young, and I still have contact with these people, and they will all they talked to me on Facebook. It's like that was the best job
Best
that I
time.
had in my
Wow.
whole life. I miss the apps of time so much. Right now, I just use the 1-3-1 rule. You have one problem, give me three solutions, and give me one suggestion. Okay.
Mm.
Very simple. It's the 1-3-1 rule. If you bring me a problem, you are not leaving that monkey here with me. Okay. To give me three options, okay, and then give me what you think from those three options is the best, okay, solution. And most of the time, 80% of the time, their solution is actually the best solution, and then decide that they didn't even need me for having that conversation.
That's
And they
great.
are like, okay. And you help people to actually critical start.
Think.
thinking critically about that. So one of the things that we did many things different at that point. Okay, um, one of the things that we did is that we created. Uh, we have experiences with events and people and the product. Okay, so we manage at that point all the brands, the liquor brands, you name it, like Black Label, Blue Label, Red Label, Moet and Chandon, Dom Perignon, Smirnoff. We manage all the liquor brands at that point. Okay, so we needed to make experiences with the people, and at one point we needed to make sales as well. So we
Mm.
use different techniques and events, and what it was called at that point below the line marketing. Okay, I
Hmm.
don't know if you're familiar with that.
I'm I'm not.
Well, at that point it was below the line, which means that it's an experience with the consumer experience, the product. Okay, so everything that was like this social media, for example, is not that, because you are not touching the product, you're not tasting the product, but everything that you are a relationship with the product was below the line marketing. So at that point we started going into sales. Okay, so with all these events we will make it a sales event. Okay, and we start making all these events in places like you wouldn't imagine, like a supermarket, and then in the supermarket all of the when you will have like a party, okay, at that event,
Right.
and then we will sold out the product. Okay, and we will train these people, we will train these young women and men on how to sell sales techniques, which the competition never thought about that. Okay, how do you train someone to sell a product? Okay, how do you train about your product, the competition? Okay, so it was really fun. Uh, and it lasted for about 6 years
Hmm.
until we had issues with the economy, and we have the government change, and there were regulations, and the environment actually forced us to close the company. But at that point we already expand to a different country, so I already was managing the company in two different countries.
Wow.
Which allow us to actually close this and keep the other one alive.
And so did this happen to be the U.S. or was this another country?
Panama.
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 Interesting.
Mhm.
Experiment Nation, you've heard the word MTR, mid-term rentals, as it is currently a hot topic and hot commodity right now because, again, there has been an increase in short-term rental regulations, and there also has been, let's face it, a slowdown in what we were experiencing a couple years back when it comes to bookings. So with that said, short-term rental operators are looking for alternative solutions to tap into the mid-term rental space. However, there is a space, there is a sub niche of mid-term rental insurance that I'm truly excited about, that I want to share with you, that the experience that we've had, the tremendous results we've been able to have, and that's the insurance mid-term rental space, which is very different than your traditional mid-term rentals. When you think of traditionally mid-term rentals, you think of travel nurses. There is a space, mid-term rental insurance space, that we've tapped in, where you need to be well connected with insurance and relocation specialists and companies and understand the right type of asset required for you to be able to help these families. What's really important that stands out the most, which you can get in what I'm about to offer you, is the understanding where to be found by these insurance companies, how to properly manage your calendar so that your listings are optimized so that they can find you, how to actually gain traction and build a relationship with these relocation insurance companies. I've put together an MTR insurance blueprint. That's double MT triple R insurance blueprint to cover these foundations after we've had success landing very large contracts on single family homes that literally 4x what we traditionally make in long-term rentals, and also gives us peace of mind because there's less turnover and 100% occupancy, because these contracts can start anywhere from 30 days to 3 months to 8 months and range anywhere from, again, we've landed anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000 a month in per month on a single family home property, which Our mortgages are typically around the 2,400 range, which then gives you a large spread of anywhere from 4 to 6K net on just one property. And this is why it's very hot right now. But people who haven't been in the lab with individuals like myself, like Jesse Vasquez and Dr. Rachel Gainsborough and Noble Crawford, don't have the foundations and don't know exactly where to start. And therefore, this is why I'm giving you guys a blueprint, the MTRR insurance blueprint. Go to the website experimentrealestate.com and get yourself a blueprint to completely change or at least have a plan B if you're a short-term rental operator looking to maximize your occupancy and profitability. We'll see you on the other side. And so, if I understand correctly, Vanessa, you actually created a hybrid of event and then slash sales company as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right.
So,
Right.
if I had a product and I wanted to increase sales, correct me if I'm wrong, your company would also be a perfect, almost for lack of better words, distributor slash planner for my launch. Is that is
Hmm.
that is that accurate or?
Yeah, we were doing launch, but it was at that point it was not about the launch of the product. Okay.
Mhm.
It was about the marketing team will hire us to do marketing on the marketing events, and their sales team will hire us to mix that and sell the product in different places. Okay.
Wow.
Like restaurants, like you all of a sudden you go to a restaurant, and then in that side of the restaurant there is a party. Okay. And you go to that party, you say, oh wow, that's interesting, let me go to that party. And at that party we will give you to try the product, like you want to try this product, try, but if you want to buy it, I will sell it to you. And
What's
in
an
that
example?
whole experience, like you can buy more than Chandon,
Okay,
like
so
we
usually
will
like
have a
even
party.
oh, interesting. So that's like you're giving them that's what you're calling below the line. I think you're saying.
Right. So you can try the product,
Mhm.
and at that point, there is an experience. You're
Yes,
excited.
tied
You
to the
like the
product.
place.
There's an
You
emotional
try the
attachment.
product. There is an
Yeah.
emotional attachment. And then
Mm,
someone says to you, by the way, you want to buy this bottle? Okay. It's only $90. And in the whole thing, your emotions, you buy because emotion. You don't
yeah.
buy like most of the products that you buy are because it's an emotional buy. It's not because there's consciousness that, oh yes, I need to buy this. Okay. That's a
Yeah.
different type of buy. But at that point you create that environment when you're happy, you're drinking that, you like that product, you like the experience, you like that you're invited to that private event. Okay. That you were not invited before, and you
Yeah.
are there with your wife. Okay. And then you buy the product.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's so
all the things
interesting.
like that.
The emotional part. They say, what is your thought? And again, when it comes to marketing, you've not only done it in your business you build, you also have an MBA in marketing too. Let's put some respect on that too. So I'm excited to ask this question. So when you talked about having emotions behind marketing and even and you went as far as providing the experience, what are your thoughts on again today's marketing where there's also a lot of subconscious level type of marketing like volume. I see this, I see Coca-Cola, or I think of fast food, and you think of Eat Fresh and you think of Subway, and then you think, and again, obviously we know it's brand not the freshest thing out there, but it's great marketing, right? Coca-Cola, like, do you think that volume of subconscious kind of marketing is still is still prevalent, and where I shouldn't say prevalent, but it's still effective, or do you think that the one that you mentioned, kind of like the experience and the emotion, is either on the same level or maybe even better? I mean, what is the 2024, if we're listening to this, marketing, are we overstimulated? Do billboards still work? What's your take on that? I know I'm asking you a
Yeah.
lot at once, but what is your temperature on marketing overall,
Yeah,
and
I
has it changed?
100%. I think we are overstimulated. Okay, we get messages all the time, and it's
Hmm.
extremely hard. to get the attention of someone. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
Or
see
harder, right?
social media, it's harder.
Yeah.
If you see social media, you keep scrolling, and there is always someone selling you something. Now, what is different before, okay, that work, because when I had my company, okay, I was 25, you didn't have an iPhone. Where's my iPhone? I lost my
Yeah.
iPhone. You didn't have an iPhone attached to your hand all the
To
time.
your to your head.
Probably
Yeah.
you had a BlackBerry, but you didn't have Amazon in your phone. Okay, so the way that you consume project products was experiencing the product. Like you will have to
Mm.
go to the store and buy the product, right? And that's when you create emotion. But right now, you create emotion where you are spending time the most. And
Ooh,
what is that? Social media,
social media.
your phone, okay, Facebook, Instagram. So even Amazon use AI because it's triggering your emotions. Like you buy something, okay,
Mhm.
and then it shows you 10 things that are related to that something.
Yep.
Okay. And before you check out, it's suggesting you to buy more things. So you keep checking. And oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is interesting, when you realize you have $300 in your car and you just wanted to buy a $15 something, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same concept. Mhm. It's just digital right now.
So
And
it's a
we don't.
digital, you're calling it a digital experience now
Mhm.
based on the amount of time being spent on social. That's fascinating. And you know, I was going to ask you the question, Vanessa. You said you didn't have all the technology then, and now you have all this technology. If you're starting at 22 today, and you're starting an event planning business, what would be your massive action that you would take that you think would give you uh, the most amount of advantage and growth?
Wow. At that point or right now?
Right
In
now,
20,
I think right where we are, you're starting different time, different place. Based on what you even just said, if you're starting an event planning business, I'm very curious as to where you think you would start your action taking. Um,
I
yeah.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't start a business like that right now, because as a business person, I think that there are 100 many better opportunities
Mm.
than a business like that. I think that has their time, okay? But event planning right now, I don't think is a lucrative, or a good business model. Mhm.
Why do you say that?
Why?
Hmm.
Because I don't think people is looking for experience, okay? But people is connecting in different ways right now. I mean, you can go to, for example, for a concert. Okay, you can go for a concert. You want that connection, uh, but there is no, like, people is not spending time in community things right now, and that's something, unfortunately, I don't think I like it. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't like it. I'm going to rephrase that.
I like that.
I don't like it, because we're losing that sense of community, and that's
Mm,
because of technology. Okay, so we're spending more time in watching Netflix, okay, which we didn't have in the 2000 something. Okay, we didn't
yeah.
have Netflix. You have to drive, get a blockbuster, rent
Mm,
it, drive back home, okay, use it, and then return it, right? So then you will invite your friend, okay, and it was like, oh, let's go and do this and find this in blockbuster. It was a whole experience. We have lost all that with technology, all that experience. You go to your room and you turn on Netflix, and Netflix keeps telling you what you want to watch based on what you watched before, and you are just, that's a hook.
yeah.
You're hooked there.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a business right now, because we're losing that sense of community, those things, based on technology, and people is more isolated. Now, I'm gonna tell you the positive, okay,
Mhm.
on my way of seeing things, okay, is that is going to change, because what's happening with AI is that AI is gonna open everybody's eyes on how actually use technology for us to do things better and faster and be more productive, instead of just the way that we has been using AI is just like the bigger corporations has been using AIs to keep us hooked to the social media or the TV or
Mm,
Netflix or to Amazon. Okay.
yeah.
Right now we have access to use AI in order for us to like, let's free 2 hours of my time.
Hmm.
So AI can help me with this and I can have more time. And now people is craving that. I need more time to have with my kids. I need more time to
Mm,
have with my family. I need more time to do this. Okay. So I I'm kind of, as you say, as a visionary, and I believe that we will have that back, okay? Because we will have at one point, we will live longer. Like the age expectation right now is 100 years. And with AI and technology and all these biohacking techniques, that people is expecting that we can go more than 100 years. Mhm.
wow.
And then with AI helping us to save time and be more productive, what are we going to do with all that free time? And I think
Mm.
that's coming back to us looking for more connections and more community.
Wow, 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 wow. So that's so interesting. Thank you for summarizing that. And thank you for showing us that there's light at the end of the tunnel. You're from what I'm understanding, you're saying, Vanessa, that AI was, leveraged by these corporations, but now is being more accessible to the everyday woman and man who are out there, right? And so for that reason, it'll allow us to get our time back in some sense, which then will bring us back to the where we'd all started of spending more quality time, like playing outdoors and being kind of within the community. At least that's what I'm hearing. Is that what
Mhm.
you're kind of
Right.
foreshadowing?
100%. The benefit of using AI is to leverage
Mm-hmm.
into technology. You can leverage in other people, but now you can leverage in technology too. Now the question is, what are you going to do with the free time? Are you going to work more, okay, or you're actually going to think about other things that you want to do that you always say that you don't have time to do? And let's do an experiment right now. I don't have my phone, but if you go into the settings of your phone,
Yeah.
mhm, go into the settings and check on the section that tells you um, how much time you has been, how many hours have you been using your phone. Are you there?
Yeah, I forget what it's called though. Yeah.
So you go to the settings and then you go, I don't remember how it's called, but it's where you measure the time.
Screen time, screen time.
Screen time,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
It's a
My
screen time.
Yeah, you want to know my number? You want to
So
expose me right now? Is
if
that what
you
we're doing?
see, if you, you don't have to say it, but just look at it.
No, I have no problem. It's 3 hours and 14 minutes.
Okay, just for today, or that's
Daily average.
average? That's
Daily
daily
average.
average. Okay, so if you think about that, okay, just
Hmm.
3 hours, okay, a day on your phone. If you work 8 hours and you sleep 7 hours, that's 15
Hmm.
hours. Okay, that's 15 hours. 15 minus 24, that's 9 hours,
Oh yeah.
right? So from those 9 hours, okay, you're spending 33% of your free time looking at your phone. That's a
Mm.
huge amount of time. That's
Yeah.
huge. That's huge. And average people use their phone for 5 to 6 hours. You are actually below average in the
It's
three
funny.
hours.
It's so funny as you're saying that. I was thinking like, if you would have asked me, it would be lower. The only reason why is um laptop, yes, right? Like I'm in front of the screen. We're on Zoom. I actually have yellow glasses that I wear around 8 p.m. because of the blue light. We're on it every day. We actually spend more time now on our computer, or just as much time as than we do as sleeping, um, which is
Right.
fascinating. And this is true because you told me, right? Your husband 5 hours. I'm like same camp, 5 hours sleep, ready to
Mhm.
go, charging. I record a lot of content on here, but I'm surprised because my team is they're the ones who are doing a lot of the behind the scenes. So I'm actually surprised by that number.
It's very interesting that you evaluate how much time you're spending in your phone, because you're always saying that we don't have enough time, right? I don't have enough time. But if you are in front of the computer, in my case, I'm in front of my computer. I don't even have my phone here on my desk right now. Okay. But if I am in front of my computer for 6 or 7 or 8 hours,
Yeah.
okay, technically I'm not looking at my phone if I am focused on doing what I have to do, right?
Hmm.
Okay. And then I spending 3 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours on my phone. That's a lot of time that we spend just checking on our phones every 5 minutes or every 30 minutes and just scrolling here and scrolling there. So I think that doing an audit in ourselves on how we use the
Yeah.
phone, okay, or just like we right now we have anxiety if we lose our phone, okay, we lose the phone and it's like 30 minutes later, I'm like, where is our phone?
Yeah.
What's happening with our
And you know,
phone?
it's fascinating, Vanessa, because I would say I'm a pretty detached person when it comes to my phone because I don't check my email. My assistant checks my email. I I mean, if I show you right now, look at my
That's
text,
what I'm saying. 3 hours is way below average.
a
Yes.
thousand texts because it's if it's important, it'll come to me, but I don't check text. And so I'm pretty fascinated. I have to do another audit. It's game time, Vanessa. You've come to the lab and you've opened an unturned rock, or you've kind of turned over a rock that was unturned. So that's very interesting. But it's also um, it's so important. I'm so glad we're talking about this to measure, and measure either the mindset. Am I actually looking at glass half full? Am I spending this much time? Am I doing enough touch points in marketing? Like, because I think we're just jaded. We just think one thing, but the math is always the math, and it never lies.
A hundred
Never lies.
percent, 100%. And what can you do with that free time if you really decided to disconnect? I'm not talking about you because again, you are below average. But for people that is listening, that is checking and doing their audit on their phone, think about what are the top apps that you are checking. Okay, is that
Mm,
Instagram? Because that data, you have that data on your phone. Is
yeah.
that your email? Okay, what is that you're using? Is that your pictures? Okay, and that's where your time is going. And Tony Robbins always says, where focus goes, energy flows. So
Mm,
if your focus is in social media, okay, then
yeah.
how are you going to grow your business? At least your business is in social media. That's a
Yeah.
different conversation.
Very true. Yeah. Well, I mean, this is fascinating. I feel like I could talk to you for hours. Let me ask you a question. You brought up AI a few times. Um, and you talked to us about how it's impacting us as even individuals and how we can leverage it, use it as a lever. um how are you leveraging AI today with you in your business? And I know you're not the average person, but I think it's important that we cover all fronts. As a business owner, someone who's listening who's a business owner, how have you been leaning on AI? And what areas in your business to give us just an insider tip? And maybe again, I know you have some ebooks, etc., which I would love for you to share on that. But give us a little bit of a teaser of what does it look like in your world of where you've been implementing it and seeing the high ROI on it.
Well, in how long do we have? But
Right?
just kidding. Um, I'm always thinking of how we can improve a system, or how can we replace something with technology. So right now, I am actually preparing to speak at two events that are going to be talking about AI, and I'm going to be talking about capital raising, okay, and
Capital
entrepreneurship.
raising.
Capital raising with AI, which at the end is sales. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you sell under the SEC regulations with AI? And I has been very interested in implementing AI for our sales process or our investor relationship process. There is a
Mm,
really good AI, and I'm going all the way to the top of the iceberg. But it's a very good AI that is called qualified AI. Okay,
mm,
and this AI, what it does is using a huge amount of data, okay, about sales and the best performing team and the best performing techniques on sales in order for you to train your sales team with an AI coach. Okay. So
Wow.
if you if you want to train yourself, okay, or you have a team that you want to train about sales, you can use this platform, and this platform will coach you with an AI that you can practice, and the AI will tell you what you're good, what are things that you need to improve, okay, and it will give you a full report, okay, until you get to the point that you are ready to talk to an investor. So in this case, there's so many people that is starting in the business and that they don't know how to talk to an investor. Okay, they don't know what to say. Okay, of course you have to follow the SEC rules. This is very important. Okay, you have to follow SEC regulations, but how do you sell, how do you talk to an investor in order to understand their objections? So this AI is a really top of the iceberg. Okay, if you have a company with a sales team, 3 or 5 people, your team, okay, I think this is a huge tool that you can get 80% of what would you get for a really expensive sales coach to train your team, and
Wow.
you get it real time with AI, right? Now, if we go to the bottom, like in a very basic way, you can also do that with ChatGPT in a basic
Mhm.
way. You can also take ChatGPT and say things like, "This is my target. This is the people that I'm talking. This is the product that I have." Okay, and if you are the best sales coach in a private equity firm, tell me, how do I address, okay, how do I reach out to these investors, what are the right words to say? You can actually take a transcript from you practicing and use an AI note taker and take that and put it into ChatGPT and say, tell me what I'm doing right, what I'm not doing right, what I'm
Mm.
doing wrong. You can do things like asking the AI to give you the objections. If I'm talking about this, okay, and I'm going to talk to, let's say, a doctor, okay, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking to a doctor. If you're a doctor, tell me what are going to be your objections. Okay, so you
Mm.
prepare yourself with that information of what this person is going to ask you about, which is probably going to be different to what a lawyer is going to ask you about if he wants to be under this investment, which is going to be different based on the personality of the person. Okay, and okay, at that point, we can also use another AI that can tell me, if I'm going to meet with you, who are you and
Mm.
what personality are you? I know that you are a D.
Oh
You're a
yeah.
dominance person, okay, because I have the AI. Okay, I had my assistant running the AI on you. Mhm. So I have an idea of who you are. Okay. How do you manage the conversations, and what are the things that I have to tell you, and how I can write an email about you. Okay. Now,
Mm.
understand that sales is about psychology, right? Sales is about psychology, but there is, you as a human, you are limited in how much information you can have in that database, right? So having AI guiding you and giving you information about the personality of a person is a huge game changing. It's a huge game changing. So I had 5 podcasts today. 3 of them were a dominance. Another one is a dominance and steadiness, and the other one is an S. Okay. And I can see that very clear in the way that you talk to me and the way that you introduce people. Okay. And it's very helpful. And if I want to sell to you, or I want a long-term relationship with you, I can use that information in order for me to write the right email to you, for example,
Mm.
to
Oh my
use
gosh.
the best words for you.
Yeah, that's that you've layered so many things, right? Like you first talked about the archetype, then you talk about personality, then you talked about the psychology of the person. And it's fascinating because I don't know if you're referring to like Myers-Briggs or Briggs, or I forget. There's a lot of different personality kind of tests that you can take. And if you're truly, which all of us are in the sales all of us are in the, understanding psychology of the other person on the other side. If you can really speak to their pain points, which goes back
Mhm.
to marketing 101, you're
Mhm.
marketing based on the pain points of the person on the other side. What is the lawyer? How does she or he thinks of, how does the doctor, what are their pain points? I literally just covered this in my mastermind call before this, in an email of an investor, of a homeowner who's looking to be displaced. She's a mother. She talked about security, so we went right back and said we actually do have security. We, because I know you're worried about safety. We have,
Mhm.
like, it's marketing 101 that you're layering on top with AI. It's fascinating when you put a bow on it, and
And you
I'm
have
actually
a
very
competitive
impressed.
advantage.
You
Thank you.
do, you
You
do.
have a
I'm very
competitive
impressed.
advantage with all these technologies.
Yeah, you do. I love that you but I love that you even kind of just said that, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I think it's not by chance the way you've gotten to where you are. It's like the little detail, like one person might just show up, but you're saying, no, I'm pulling another lever. I'm going to know who the interviewer is, and what their, mindset archetype is, like psychology, what their letter is. Like, I didn't even know, no one told me that before. When you came on the show, like, you're the first guest who said, oh, I know exactly what kind of archetype that's. But the reason I'm highlighting that is because it's not by chance, it's by law that you've gotten this far, and you are that meticulous in all the detail. And I do want to highlight that, because I do think it's important to highlight, and there's a reason why you're having the success you're having. I think you've already covered how you're implementing AI into the real estate with the capital raising, etc. Is that, am I correct? Is that kind of the niche, because you're in syndication, and how you're also leveraging that with your team?
That's one way that we use it, but there are many ways. You can use AI for your day-to-day life. I teach my
Mhm.
kids how they can leverage AI as well,
Wow.
because they will live in a world with AI.
Hmm.
My 3 years old, I never teach them how to use Alexa, and they talk to Alexa. I never teach them, but they talk to Alexa. So they're going to be surrounded by AI. It's going to be part of the world. So I want to teach them,
Prepare.
as well, and prepare for that. But you can use it for marketing. You can use it. Marketing is the low hanging fruit on AI.
Mhm.
For social media, for capital raising, for acquisition, for analyzing deals, for doing projections, for putting together business plans,
Proposals.
to have
Yeah.
the to analyze financials too for our asset management. If you don't want to read a 12-page report, you can easily take the report and ask AI what is wrong in this report, what is not doing correctly, what can we do to improve performance of this deal, for example. And the AI will catch some things, and some you remove the noise, and you probably get one or two ideas that are pretty good, instead of
Yeah.
just spending 1 hour reading in the report, right? So I think that there is a use for everything, and I encourage all my team to always think, okay, what are you doing that you can leverage with technology, so you can free up that time and do something else. But also it needs to be very strategic, because you can spend a lot of time just trying new AIs and playing
Mm.
around. There's so many AIs available right now, and you can get into the weeds or just playing to create a video with AI. And at the end, you have to be very strategic and think, okay, is this video AI that I'm creating attached to a specific revenue in my company, or am I just doing this because I'm having fun and I'm just wasting 8 hours? And at the end, this is not going to help my business in any way. So that's the question that you have to ask to be strategic innovator in your business.
I love that. I love frameworks. You gave us one, so I want to give something to our listeners as they step away. One of my favorite ones that you mentioned is, you have one problem, the 1-3-1, right? One problem, three options, and one solution. If you're taking yourself back to an investor that looks like you, Vanessa. It's like little Vanessa starting in this world in 2024. All the ambition, all the inspiration, the gain mindset. Um, what is one framework that you want to leave to younger Vanessa in this current atmosphere, in this current economy, that you would tell Vanessa that, Vanessa, the world is yours. You can have anything, just not everything at the same time. And what is this is the thing that I would probably put my energy towards right now, and then everything will kind of fall into place, and you'll figure it out along the way. What's a skill or what's a framework that you want to give young Vanessa, that's out there, that's listening, that in this day and age, she should be focusing on to come to open up the floodgates.
Wow, that's a very deep question, Ruben. Very deep question.
Thank you.
Um, very deep. I think about that sometimes. Okay?
Mhm.
And at the end, what I want is to look back. One day, we're not going to be here in this world. Mhm. And at the end, I just want to look back and look back and be able to say, I did things that makes me happy and made an impact. Mhm. So I, at the end, we're coming here with nothing and we're leaving with nothing, right? So it doesn't matter all the success and all the things, but if there is a study of people that is in the bed, they're about to die, okay, and when they ask them what is the thing that you regret, okay, they always talk about connection, love, family, spending more time with someone. Nobody says, well, I regret I didn't buy this, or I regret that I didn't make
Mm,
that amount of money, okay. So I always think about that, okay. I just don't want to regret. So when I see the glass, okay, and I want to think in the gap, I'm not in the game, and sometimes think about that, okay,
yeah.
because at the end my goal is not to make millions of dollars and just stock that in the bank. My goal is I want to use that money and I want to go 3 months and spend it in Italy with my family and
Yeah.
just see everybody running around and being able to make a phone call and keep building my business because that makes me happy. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's
I
a very beautiful question, by the way.
thank you. And I think it does. And I'll kind of add my 2 cents as well. I've been really on this season of I don't know if you know the Die with Zero, Bill Perkins. Phenomenal book and phenomenal framework. And his whole thing is he was an old hedge fund guy, or young, I should say, and he quickly realized that we don't. It's not that he realized this, but it's an optimization for memory dividends is how he calls it, which I love very much. It's like, wow, I love that. Isn't that fascinating? You don't take it with you, right? So a lot of us kind of get into the habit. It's easy to get into the habit to invest in delayed gratification, but you don't always want to get into a situation where delayed gratification turns into a habit, so that you're actually never gracious and you don't ever actually get to ever enjoy the fruits of your labor. And it really hit on me recently, because it's like, you're doing all this for what? And it's what you just said, it's the simpler, finer things. And I think sometimes just being mindful of that, especially because as overachievers, we're also very excited and driven and passion, but not to lose sight along the way of why you're doing it. And that in the end, in a perfect world, you don't necessarily die with anything in the bank, not because you don't have assets or any legacy to give off to, but because you actually maximize the tool to maximize memory dividends with the people that you care and love for. And I just think it's fascinating and beautiful, and I think you've kind of insinuated a lot of that, so I would really recommend it to our listeners and to yourself if you haven't read that or listened to one of his interviews. Very successful man, of course, but like yourself, just very successful, but just keeping in mind what's really important at the end of the day. So
Beautiful.
thank you.
That's beautiful. Please repeat the name of the book.
It's called A Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. Die with Zero. I think you'll love it. I'll send you the link. But Vanessa, I can't thank you enough. I know we stayed over time. You were just in the flow state. I didn't see you sip coffee. I think only once. So I think we did well on this one. You were full of energy, dialed in. I know you got me fired up, and you left me some very great, amazing lessons. And I know our listeners are going to truly benefit from this. So I can't thank you. You have a beautiful soul and a beautiful mind. And I love the frameworks that you're able to share with me and the rest of the audience. So thank you for that. But I want to give the audience an opportunity for them to connect with you. So please let us know, where can we get in touch? You talked about AI, you talked about investing, you talked about a lot of things. We just love the operator behind the business. I hope you know that. That's what marketing is, the visionary behind. So how do we get in touch with you? How do we follow your journey? And what can you offer the audience if we want to continue to be in Vanessa's world?
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for asking. Well, for anybody that is interested in connecting with me or investing with us in our company, you can go to our website, venuspartners.com. Okay, we have a contact form. You just fill that, and we will call you back in a day. It's not an AI; it's a real person that is going to call you back, and we're going to meet with you and see, to have an understanding of what your goals are, okay, and what you're looking for, and see if we are the right fit for you as well. And I also have a gift for everybody that is interested in learning about AI or more about entrepreneurship. And we do have on the website in venuspartners.com, okay, we're going to have a section that is called ebooks. And there we're going to have 4 ebooks that you can download about AI, entrepreneurship, or real estate, or AI tools for real estate investors as well. And uh, so we have that, and you can follow me also on Instagram. Okay, I usually check my Instagram once a day.
Good for you. I can't
So I
wait to
don't
see what
break
your
my
time looks like. Might look like 3 minutes for you. So guys, next time Vanessa comes on the show, I'm gonna be down to 1 hour on the phone. That's the goal. All right.
yay.
We gotta be efficient here. But if you didn't hear it, that's venuspartners.com. That's VENUS partners.com. Make sure you tap in, amazing resources here. You can even look at the learn and find all the ebooks, and join the investing group. As I like an operator that's not only talking the talk but walking the walk, and that's what we received today. So Vanessa, thank
Awesome.
you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming into the lab, giving me all this value. And just like that, Experiment Nation, we are out.
Experimentation, I believe there are 2 critical components that will help you achieve your goals very quickly and succeed. Number 1, it's information like this that you received on a show, in an episode, and content that you can find on my YouTube channel or anybody's channel. And then there's a community. And the way we've been able to expedite our process, the way people in our community, people that we consult, mastermind members, whoever, they get the information on an episode like this, but then they also have the support, whether it's me guiding them or being guided through a community. There is an opportunity for you listening to be able to expedite your process, or even expedite your results that you're seeking by being in part of the community. If that is what you're interested in, we at Experiment Nation happen to have a community devoted to helping maximize your occupancy and your profitability altogether, regardless of which market that you are in. And for that reason, you have an opportunity where you can go to experimentrealestate.com/submit if you're looking to work in an environment that can help you prosper faster. Call out any areas that you might not be familiar in, especially the blind spots. That's where a guide comes in hand, and I would be a pleasure and honor to be your guide. But in order to make sure you're a good fit, make sure you go to experimentrealestate.com/submit so that my team can go ahead and take it and see if you're a good fit to join the mastermind and the multiple programs that we have. In addition to that, I'm also now a YouTube partner, which means that I want to give you more access to information, more access to Q&As, more access to the questions that actually come out of our mastermind to help people expedite the process. We've seen people get anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 to even $7,000 a month net on just one door by applying the strategies that we use by working with corporations, and furnished accommodation in a very strategic way. So if you're interested, make sure you also subscribe, because I'm going to have different tiers that's on YouTube now that we've become YouTube partner to continue to be the bridge to your success in your lab. And your lab means your life, your goals, or wherever you're trying to head. So make sure you also hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/real estate experiment. We'll be there. You can also look us up at midterm rental insurance experiment. We will be there. Make sure you hit the subscribe, because that's when you'll know the tiers that are available to you that make sense for you, your marketplace, for your results. Remember, you're only one experiment away. Let's build.